Hi, everyone. Looks like we've already got some people joining. Welcome, welcome, welcome to today's webinar. We're really excited to have you guys. If you can hear me, why don't you say hi in the chat? Make sure you introduce yourself and let us know where you're dialing in from. We're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes. We want to give everybody enough time to come on in, get situated. So please make sure you say hello. Get sorted, get situated, and make sure you're ready to go. Amazing. Looks like we've got Yahavy coming in here. I'm so excited for today's event. Can't wait. So in the meantime, just want to give you guys an opportunity to just sort of get yourself a drink, get ready, get comfortable, and we'll get started in just a couple minutes. Thanks so much, everybody, for coming on. Oh my gosh, we've got such a fabulous and international crowd today. I see Spain, Germany, New Jersey, California. It's like we've got almost every single country represented here already. We've only got 25 individuals. So this is fabulous news, and I'm so excited to see such a global crowd today. We've got India, Bulgaria. This is fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Sri Lanka. This is exactly what we want to see. Argentina. Oh my gosh, this is wild. So welcome everybody. We're so excited to have you here today for today's event featuring Yahavy. I just wanted to give you guys a brief introduction first into sort of who I am and what we're doing here today. My name is Tess. I'm one of the senior community managers here at Fiverr. And ultimately, our goal here at Fiverr is to ensure that we're providing you guys, our community, with the ability to connect to one another and also to upskill and learn and get some professional development and network and all of the above. And also to have a direct point of contact to us here at Fiverr. If you guys need anything, we are here. We want to help support you guys and ensure that you guys have the necessary resources and tools to be super successful in your journeys here at Fiverr. And that's why we do these types of events and why we are so lucky to have Yahavy here today. So I'm just going to give a little introduction into what Yahavy is going to be speaking about so you guys know that you're in the right place, most importantly. So today, Yahavy is basically going to be sharing the most amazing tips and tricks for how to create long-lasting effects for your business as a seller. So basically, we want to ensure that you have the most amazing relationships with your buyers so that you're going to have that repeat success and repeat business coming through. Ultimately, clear communications and expectations from both the buyer and seller side is exactly what's going to help ensure that you have those quality services exchanged and delivered. So today we're going to learn all about how you can set yourself up for this success. And Yahavy St Clair is going to share his tried and true best practices for us when it comes to communication between buyers and sellers. And just a little bit on Yahavy as well, so you guys have a small intro on him. Yahavy is a serial entrepreneur in NYC. His passion is motivational speaking, and this was ultimately sparked through his own experiences of pursuing something larger than oneself, which is so amazing. And he's a passionate pioneer, and you'll hear his passion the way that he speaks. I've been a part of other webinars that Yahavy has done, and he is truly a captivating speaker. And he really takes the obstacles that he's had to endure and overcome them and really turn them into a gift. And ultimately, he has gone from the streets of Times Square, literally selling comedy tickets and making ends meet, to doing this and really being a motivational speaker. So I'm so excited for you guys to hear what he has to say today, to learn some tips and tricks, and to ultimately get motivated here, because that's what Yahavy does best. So Yahavy, welcome. If you are able to take yourself off mute and turn your camera on, we're ready for you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I am trying to take my, let me see if I was waiting for the host to approve me taking my video off.
Let me make
Super
you a
excited.
co-host here.
Yeah, super, no worries. Um, There I am. What's going on,
Hi.
everybody? Super hyped to be here. This is my third webinar presentation with Fiverr. Shout outs to Fiverr, shout outs to Tess, shout outs to Samantha, shout outs to the entire Fiverr team for making this presentation possible. Guys, I kid you not, you are in for a treat today. Now, this presentation, I'm going to be covering a lot of things in terms of how to create long-lasting relationships with buying and selling on Fiverr, but also finding loopholes to find more efficiency whenever you're posting a task on Fiverr. Now, I'm big on Fiverr. I could honestly sit here and say, I don't know where I would be without Fiverr. And after you guys see my presentation and you hear my presentation today, you're going to be like, oh, I see what you mean. Now, it's really amazing how, when I officially started on Fiverr, it was maybe looking for a logo design. And then it turned into something that saved me during this pandemic. So really stoked about that. Really excited for everyone that's, from across the world sitting in on this presentation today. There's a lot to touch on, but we only have an hour. So I'm just going to be giving you guys slam dunk value. So if you have, your iPhone out or your Android, take notes, pen or pad, take notes, and feel free to ask as many questions as you can towards the end of this presentation. I'm ready to go. I'm fired up. Like, let's go. Let's go.
Let's do it. I'm fired up already.
Awesome. So I am going to, I'm good. I'm good to screen share.
Good
Perfect.
to go.
Awesome. Let's go. Awesome. So we go and boom, there he is. There he is. Awesome. So I'm just gonna kick us off. Now, guys, I want to welcome you to another webinar presentation sponsored by Fiverr, creating a successful relationships with sellers and buyers on Fiverr. Now, you're probably wondering, who am I? Who is Yahavy St Clair? Father, author, podcast host, real estate investor. It's something we're going to really dive into. The real estate part is what we're going to really dive into because I had this life-changing connection. We'll swing back on that later in the presentation. And of course, marketing consultant. We're going to touch on a lot of good talking points today. Really excited for this one in particular. And let's go right into it. So right off the bat, guys, this is again, a Fiverr presentation, but this is more so diving in depth in the science of Fiverr. I'm really excited for this presentation versus the previous two because I've seen loopholes in what I'm looking for on Fiverr, right? So when it comes to, managing a request and posting a request on Fiverr, this is crucial and this is very important, right? So when you're managing a request or posting a request on Fiverr, it's a game changer. You have complete control of your project versus scrolling through Fiverr looking for experts who have gigs already posted, right? If you are someone who has a really tight budget, and I see this all the time because I get the notifications because I'm a seller on Fiverr. So if you're a business professional, right, and you need minor adjustments to your website and you're on a $10 budget, and let's be honest, if you are going on Fiverr and you're looking for someone to update your website and crank things up here and there, you're going to see gigs starting at maybe $250, 400 or 500, something in that case, and your budget's only $10, and it's maybe like a quick fix or it's like an error or something that keeps popping up on your website or bugging you, and you're like, hey, I don't need to spend $450. Can I get this done with just $10? Yeah, you can. And it's Fiverr, and Fiverr is going to help you get it done. So when it comes to managing a request and posting a request on Fiverr, we're going to dive into it more in depth. But in terms of just saving and looking at your budget, you don't need to spend $400 on Fiverr. You don't need to. You don't need to spend $500 on Fiverr. If the task does not require you to spend that much, why should you? Right? So if it's a little thing here and there, these are things that we could tweak. So when it comes to managing a request and posting a request on Fiverr, what we want to look at is, what is the work required? Right? Is it a small task? Does this task come off as something that's going to cost you $200 right off the bat? Or is this something that could be done in like 2 minutes? Look at your budget. Say, okay, you want to post a request on Fiverr, and this is how we're going to get into it. So we're going to kind of like jump back, actually. Actually, I'm going to jump back. Actually, not right here. Sorry, guys. I'm going to go right into this aspect, right? So we're going to look at this like this. Now, I want you kind of look at the screenshots that I have here, and this is actually from my Fiverr account. Then I want you to look at the duration at the bottom, right? The third picture, right? I have a quick data entry task for anyone interested. This is me posting on Fiverr, of course. Duration, I need the same day delivery within 24 hours, and my budget is only $8. Now, Fiverr is crucial for what I do in real estate because I do a lot of CSV files. I have, phone numbers, addresses, emails, and I need everything organized. And I'll be honest, if it wasn't for Fiverr, I would not be organized at all because of all of the experts that post gigs on Fiverr in the data entry industry. They instantly get notifications from the buyer side. From once they see that buyer request, it's like, hey, this buyer needs this task done within the same 24 hours, or they have a tight budget. It's a quick $8 that you could make, right? So that's something that we want to look at right off the bat. Right off the bat is if you're selling on Fiverr, you instantly get these notifications on someone like Yahavy, myself, of course, posting, hey, I got a quick, easy task for anyone that's interested versus not posting your, the task at hand on Fiverr. So one of the things that we want to look at, swinging back to our first slide, is establishing a gig on Fiverr. If you are not on Fiverr as a service provider, you are doing yourself a disservice. If you are talented, if you have a service to offer, whether it's marketing, web design, logo design, mentorship, fitness, whatever you have to offer, write it down. What are you good at? What are you skillful at? What will people pay you for? What are you really good at? What are you passionate about? Write these things down. And then I want you to ask yourself, can you make money from these things? Can you make money from web design? You could be really good at it, but you could really be bad at marketing and sales, right? Not every personal trainer that does personal training is good at marketing and sales. I was a personal trainer for 8 years. What a lot of personal trainers don't understand, the marketing aspect and the sales aspect in the personal training. You're selling your services. Same thing with, anyone that's in the web design industry. You're selling your services. But what really makes it fair game on Fiverr is as soon as you post that gig, it's fair game. Okay, it's fair game, and it's going to go based on what's going to pop up on the news feeds, right? What's going to have more views. Of course, the more views you have, the better engagement you're more than likely going to get. Analytics don't lie. People can say whatever they want, but when you look at the analytics and the number aspect of how many times people are clicking on your gig, how many times people are viewing your gig, this is key. This lets you know, like, hey, what I got here is pretty viewable. A lot of people are catching on, and you're building this traction over time. Again and again, I do not know where I would be without Fiverr. And again, we're going to touch on that towards the end of this presentation. I'll tell you why. But from the marketing aspect, I love Fiverr because it makes fair game for just anyone, whether you live in the US, you live in the UK, you live in Asia, you live in India, no matter where you live, this makes it fair game to anyone. Now, I could tell you a little trick that I do, right? What I do in real estate, it's very similar to what I do on Fiverr. I do real estate wholesaling, right? So if I have a marketing client who wants a website project, right? Who wants a website project developed. I also, create ClickFunnels as well. I'll touch on that later on in this presentation. But if I have a client inquiry that's coming through on LinkedIn, right? And say, hey, I'm willing to spend, say, $1,000 on a website. That's my budget. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go on Fiverr. I'm going to create that manage request and post a request post on Fiverr saying, hey, I have a client that needs this website project, done and delivered, high quality work. The budget is 500. Same thing in terms of real estate wholesaling, right? But the similarities are different. I am not doing the work. I'm literally outsourcing it. In real estate wholesaling, I am necessarily not buying the property. I'm assigning my rights to the real estate investor cash buyer who's actually doing it. Same exact concept with the website. I'm not doing the website. I'm collecting half of the capital right off the top. So instead of the client just giving me $1,000 and I'm just, spending my time and trading my time for sweat equity, I'm going to outsource that to an actual professional who could do the work. Not saying I can't, but I rather do more sales and crank that up and fill out those leads to experts. Now, I'm really big on saving gigs and saving, the people that I've worked with on Fiverr. So if I know, I'm just going to make up a name, like John, for example, did a really phenomenal job on the website. I love what John did. John absolutely crushed it. I'm going to make sure I save John on Fiverr. I'm going to make sure I put a heart, and I automatically save under, sellers that, of course, do quality work. So I could give him repetitive jobs, repetitive gigs. Why? Because I know what I'm getting from John, right? He already established that off the first project. So the risk reward there kind of makes sense for me, but it's a risk I'm willing to take because I know Fiverr has my back when it comes to the revisions, number one. Two, you're protected by Fiverr. So in this case, you want to make sure that, number one, the client is always right, but you're providing what the client is asking for. So you're identifying the problems and you're providing the solutions. So we're going to move on to the next slide. And this was the slide I kind of like swung back really quick at in the beginning. Now, there is upside to Fiverr. And of course, there is some negatives here and there. And this is how we address this. And this is what I say when I say Fiverr has my back, and Fiverr has your back too. So don't be afraid to dispute orders. Don't be afraid to, request a refund. Don't be afraid to tell these sellers like, hey, I gave you my hard-earned money. Like, what is this, Nancy? This isn't what I asked for. You know, go get a refund. Dispute that order. You could get those funds back and find that expert that could actually help you. Now, in this case, these are two separate projects that I requested. Of course, I blocked out their name, to cover their identity. But one of the things that I've experienced on Fiverr was when I post a managed request and I say, hey, my budget's only $10, you're going to have some people that try to fight you on your budget and say, okay, all right, I'll accept your order for $10. Then in the DM, they're trying to get literally $100 out of you. And when you spot that out, you got to report that instantly. And this is what I talk about when I say Fiverr has your back. That happened to me on multiple different occasions. But what I'm saying is Fiverr is always going to have the client's best interest in heart, right? So if you're the buyer, you're considered a client. They're always going to have your best interests at heart. Not saying they're not going to have the seller's interest at heart, but they're going to look at it from both sides. If Yahavy is going to spend $50 and Nancy's saying, okay, I took your 50, now I want $50 more, that's not what I signed up for. Fiverr is going to look at everything from the messages to posts. They're going to identify that and they're going to issue my refund. Right now, this is not me knocking, a couple of sellers on Fiverr, but I'm not going to let one bad apple spoil the whole bunch. But there's ways to work around this. Don't be afraid to, let these sellers know, like, hey, that's not what I asked for. And in some cases, when you reach out to some of these sellers on Fiverr, they might take on your project. Like this one, for example, which is just recently, July 13th, I had someone literally respond to my managed request, was very urgent for the work. As soon as I paid her, she says, oh, I can't do this right now. And it's an urgent matter for me. So why even respond? So this is something that I definitely want to address. And I'm glad that everyone, sitting in on this presentation could catch this, because it's not all cotton candies and rainbows. Let's get that straight. I'm going to give you that raw, that real smack mouth in your face content. I'm going to give you the real deal. No sugarcoating. There is some beauty to it, but there's some ugly sides, but you have to address that. And if you want the best experience on Fiverr, you got to be blunt. You got to be blunt with what you're looking for. You got to be straight to the point on what you want, what the client wants, so forth and so forth. Because if you're not communicating in professional relationships, I wonder how those personal relationships are working for you as well, because it's literally the same type of play, right? Personal relationships thrive off communication. Same with professional relationships as well. So in order for me to have success, it takes accountability on my end. Now, there has been a loophole to this. And this is something that I recently discovered maybe like 7-8 months ago. Screen recording. Screen recording is crucial, right? So when we look at the screen recording is extremely important because communication is the key, right? And one of the things that we often neglect when it comes to Fiverr is the international aspect, the language barrier. And that's okay. That is completely okay about the language barrier, which is why using Loom screen recording, for perfect example, is the best choice for you. So from now on, if I know someone lives overseas, I am not giving you work without me screen recording that. I'm going to screen record the task at hand. I'm going to jot down some bullet points. I'm going to make sure that, hey, like, this is what I want my website to look like. This is what I want here. And this is what I would potentially want here. And this is why this makes sense. And ever since I started doing that, you get the notification, thanks to Loom, you get this notification whenever that seller reviews the video that you sent them. That's one. So you know that they're not dropping the ball in the project. That communication is there. They understand the task that's required. Also, even before you hire someone, if you're posting a manage request task on Fiverr, okay? If you're posting a manage request task on Fiverr, before you even accept orders, you're gonna have some sellers reach out to you via Messenger, and they're gonna say, hey, I would love to do this task. All I would say is, great, sounds great. Please review this screen recording and let me know if you could do this work. It's the best because this is going to save you time. This is going to let you know who's qualified, right? Yeah, I mean, if you're spending money, right, your hard-earned money, you want the best expert, right? I love this quote by Warren Buffett. Pricing is what you pay, but value is what you get. So just really think about that for a second. Again, pricing is what you pay, but value is what you get. So you can't expect someone to do ClickFunnels for $5. That's no. Don't expect quality work for $5. Again, pricing is what you pay, quality is what you get. But what you look at with Loom screen recording, and you look at your project task, and you look at the inquiries that's coming from the experts that's already posted on Fiverr, the second they check the buyer's request per day, which I do every day, and I'm constantly reaching out to people that are posting on Fiverr saying, hey, I want something in the field of podcasting, or I want my website updated, I'm always going to reach out because I always get the notifications. So as long as you're within that industry, if there's a buyer request per day, you could open up the Fire app or on your desktop and your laptop, and you could literally see, what are the freelancing opportunities and gigs that's flying in today, and you can literally go from there. Now, also, you're going to see that there's going to be other offers going to, the buyers as well. So, in this case, you're competing against other experts in the same field. So, your chances of getting hired for that specific task, not to say it's slim to none, but again, pricing is what you pay, value is what you get. So if you deliver quality work, let your work speak for you. Let your previous, your reviews speak for you. This is why having, reviews, number one, in Fiverr is crucial, because I do not order from anyone on Fiverr if they don't have not one review. If you have not one review, you're not good in my book. Here's why. Because based off experience, I've taken the chance and I've got burnt again and again and again till I decided to say, you know what? If you don't even have one review, I'm not going to consider you for the task, because I don't want to be the one to take that risk. Now, someone say, all right, Yahavy, why would you say that? But someone has to take that chance. Someone has to. But am I going to? I got burnt before, right? So that's another thing people are driving off of experiences on Fiverr. No one's going to want to take that chance with a seller who just started selling on Fiverr literally today and give them $1,000 project. They're not doing that. They're going to go with someone who has, established business, established reviews. This is literally crucial, because your previous clientele, your testimonials, is doing all the work for you. But to be a new seller on Fiverr, I can honestly say it's tough. It's tough right at the gate. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's tough. But once you get one, you get them all. I kid you not. You get one, you can get them all. And it's really important for people to understand, if you're starting out on Fiverr, you want to take Fiverr seriously. You really want to take Fiverr seriously, because I believe in good karma, and I also believe in bad karma. Because if you try to do something malicious on Fiverr, it will catch up to you. And Fiverr will take down, your gig posted. So you don't want to go on Fiverr, of course, taking work that you're not qualified to do. People have done that before. You do not want to do that. It's just a bad reputation. It's not good for, someone that's spending their hard-earned money and they're looking for an expert that could really help them out, especially if someone's desperate in need for help. You want to make sure that, of course, you're providing the solution and you're identifying the issues at hand. So for anyone that's starting out on Fiverr, going back to my first point, what are you good at? What are you qualified to do? What are you passionate about? What do you think you could make money doing, right? Can you make a living selling websites? Can you make a living designing websites? You can, right? Can you make a living podcasting? You can. It's all out there for you. And, you know, I'm not going to even look and compare apples to oranges when I think of Upwork and these other platforms compared to Fiverr, because I know based off my experience what's worked for me on Fiverr and what hasn't worked. And I can honestly sit here and say, I've paid money to experts, it didn't work. And I've paid money to experts and it worked really, really well. So take that chance. If you see a new seller on there and they have maybe one review, 1 star or something like that, take that chance. If you want to be the first person purchasing from that, so take that chance. Totally up to you. But understand pricing is what you pay, quality is what you get, and make sure that you're screen recording what you want done for your project. It's extremely important. Don't let water go under the bridge. Don't let someone say, hey, we're not going to give you your refund. Hey, we're not going to we're not going to do this project. We can't do this project for, another 2 days. Okay. There's literally 200 other people on this app that does everything that you do. Why should I sit here and twiddle my thumbs and wait for you? I'm really not trying to be passive aggressive, guys, but I'm just really trying to be like really straight to the point. Like I see this time and time again. A lot of sellers make this mistake. The client is always right. It's one of the old saying in the book, but the client's always right. Why should I sit here and wait 2 days when there's literally 200 other people that does the exact same thing and they could deliver within an hour? It's been done before. I've gotten refunds from people, found someone else, they delivered the same day, no problem. Right? So if you don't want it, please get out of my way. Someone else wants it. Okay. And that's life. Okay. If you miss that opportunity, you think that opportunity is going to be sitting down waiting for you like this? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So one of the things that you definitely want to establish on Fiverr right off the bat is if someone's saying, hey, we want to go with you, we want to work with you, just take the task. Take the task and start working. Don't say, hey, this is going to take 2 days. This might take X amount of hours. They could go find someone else. Don't take their money, right? So you want to be fair to yourself, one, and you want to be fair to the client. But understand, it's extremely competitive on this app. As I mentioned, I really focus more so on repetitive business. So, the seller who did my logo about 2 years ago, he's the only seller I go with on Fiverr because he does quality logos for only $5. And I kid you not, I'm not searching around because I know what I'm getting out of that. So that's just something I want everyone to take into consideration. You're not just looking for one quick sell. You're looking for repetitive business. If you could have someone consistently come to your gig, buy again and again and again, that speaks volume to your work. That speaks volume to who you are and the services that you provide. Don't let that go over your head. A lot of sellers on Fiverr miss that. And that's why they either message me 6 months back, hey, do you have work for me? No, I don't got nothing for you. No, because when I needed something, you was busy. Now you're not busy now. Oh, but that's the thing. You never miss your water till your well runs dry. So you want to make sure, number one, of course, you want to stay humble, but you also want to make sure that you're meeting the client's needs. You're taking on work that you're qualified to do. Second part, you're not overloading yourself with work. Don't sit here on Fiverr and take 5 tasks on at a time. Then if you have a 6th client come in, you can't take that. You just lost $500, Nancy. That's gone. What are you going to do now? Because that just went to John. And now John's going to have that $500 reoccurring every time Margaret needs something done, just because you said you couldn't do it. So we're going to move on. And one of the things that I want to kind of talk about real quick, and this is going to be I'm going to touch on my Fiverr success story. And this is how Fiverr changed my life. So I posted my gig on Fiverr, which is my podcast gig. I interview professionals in business on the St. Clair Speak Show podcast. I help business professionals magnify, their voices through podcasting. This was the idea that changed my life. Fiverr changed my life. That gig changed my life. I only have 2 reviews. 2 for me was all I needed. Here's why. We're going to swing back, right? So one of the things that I did not know that was going to come out of Fiverr was meeting my mentor. Now, my mentor is someone who actually found my gig on Fiverr as a podcast and wanted to get interviewed on my show. I woke up, literally, I woke up. I remember the day like it was yesterday. I woke up. This was January. You can see it's like 6 months ago. This was like about January. Woke up in the morning. I got the notification. Someone ordered a gig on a Fiverr. Literally, one of the best things that could ever happen to you. Okay, is you waking up, you get a notification from Fiverr, you got money coming in, you got money sitting right there in your account. Boom. So I'm like, okay, who is this guy? I look at his profile. Interesting. Multi-millionaire, real estate investor, wants to get interviewed on my show. A multi-millionaire paid, a millionaire paid to get on my podcast. That right there is what changed everything. From there, I charged everyone for interviews. I'm not doing this for free. Okay. If a millionaire paid, everyone else is going to pay. That's the first thing I told myself. But the second thing is, you hear the saying all the time, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And for me, what that meant was it literally came through me doing what I'm passionate about, which is speaking, which is podcasting. I finally met my mentor. Literally, this was about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I took a road trip all the way to Boston. It was about a 4-hour drive. And we had this, well, he had this, all day real estate seminar event where he was taking us to literally eight construction sites on properties, right? So he's literally taking me and this entire, group of, proteges of, just private lenders, newbie real estate investors, etc., going literally property to property, walking us through the BRRRR method. Now, those who aren't familiar with the BRRRR method in real estate, that's when you, of course, you buy a property, you rehab it, you rent it out, you refinance it, and you repeat. So he was literally breaking down that method on just pretty much just everything. That for me was life-changing. But to kind of like rewind prior to me getting to that point, again, here's how Fiverr changed my life. I interviewed, William is his name, on my podcast. Right after the interview, he said, Yahavy, I really like this interview, man. Like, I really like this podcasting. I want to do more of this. Can you help me get booked on other shows? You know what I said? Say no more. Come on now, say no more. And luck is when opportunity meets preparation, guys. You're going to have people that come into your life and say, hey, I want to do this. You better jump on that opportunity or Margaret's going to take it from you. Okay? So one of the things that I've learned from, just working alongside and working under my mentor was everything from the marketing aspect, how to market myself as a business professional, how to get more bookings, etc. So I was literally working for a mentor for 6 months as his marketing consultant, getting him booked on various podcast shows per month. And we were averaging literally 30 to 40 podcast appearances per month. Then we stopped so I could focus more so on real estate. Now I'm buying and flipping properties. I literally got the blueprint from just taking that road trip all the way down to Boston just a couple of weeks ago when I met my mentor in person. So this is someone, again, I didn't meet him on LinkedIn, didn't meet him on Clubhouse, not on Facebook, not on Instagram, not on Meetup, all right, not on Eventbrite. I literally met my mentor through Fiverr. And that was the idea, quote unquote, and the gig that changed my life. It's like everything from that changed. Everything changed because of mentorship. Number one, it helps you skip the learning curve, right? But you also have this experience behind you. And especially when you see someone that looks like you doing what you want to do at an elite level, it's beyond inspiring. If I had anything holding me back before, like that's out the window. And this is what I was talking about when I said, hey, like, you guys understand, like, Fiverr really changed my life. Like, I'm not just talking to talk. I don't talk to talk. I got receipts and I got facts, right? So it's just a proven fact, guys. Like, you never know who you're going to meet on these gigs that you post. Like, people really really overlook Fiverr, underestimate Fiverr. And I have to say this again and again, because I don't know how many times I have to give Fiverr a props and praise, but you're literally 1 gig away from finding that maybe that reoccurring client or your own mentor or you being a mentor for someone else. So it's extremely important for you to put yourself out there, put your gigs out there, whatever it is. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to connect with. You never know who you're going to meet and who they're connected to that can help you do more and you to accomplish more within your life, right? Within your business, whether it's personal, professional. So I just want that to go on the record, guys. Like, this was the connection for me. This was the connection for me because of Fiverr. And I don't know if I would have ever got this connection if I never had my podcast gig posted on Fiverr. And I kid you not, like, I probably wouldn't have. I honestly wouldn't have. I wouldn't have. And if you think I'm crazy, man, look, guys, I don't want to call anyone crazy, but I think it's crazy for you not to take the chance on you. You made it this far, right? Don't settle for here. There's a quote in I believe Kobe. I heard the great Kobe Bryant say it. Rest in the end, not the middle. So you want to keep on going. You want to keep on finding what works, and when you find what works, you want to hawk down on that. You want to double down on that. For me, Fiverr works. It works for me. Podcasting works for me. It obviously, I have a huge success story to back it up, but guys, find what you're passionate about. If it's speaking, then speak. But you want to put yourself in an opportunity, in a winning situation overall on Fiverr. So you want to make sure that you're posting these gigs, you're putting yourself out there. You're asking for reviews, which is going to be obviously crucial for you to getting consistent business. But there was a time period where I was only relying on Fiverr to make money through podcasting. I know I'm not going to say I don't need Fiverr, but now I have other avenues where I could actually make money through my podcast. But all of that started through Fiverr. So if I were to look at the domino effect of where that trail leads up before I started really monetizing the podcast, it all came through Fiverr. I'll be honest with you guys. Like, COVID came, the whole world shut down. At the time, I believe I was selling tickets. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Right? Everyone's losing their jobs. People are getting fired. People are, unfortunately passing away because of COVID. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Light bulb went off. Let's do this. Let's podcast. You know what? I want to make money from this. Let's post this as a gig on Fiverr. Let's do this. Let's get that done. Also, huge shout outs to Fiverr as well for helping me with my book. Right. So, my book Sweats to Suits is available now in Kindle and paperback edition. But everything about my book, from, the layout, the editors on Fiverr, the back cover, the cover design, all of that was created and designed through Fiverr. All of that was created and designed through Fiverr. This hat that I'm wearing, of course, I'm wearing it backwards, but the logo that's imprinted right here in the back of my hat is through Fiverr. So when I look around, I look at all of the things that's worked for me. And if you're still sitting here and you're listening to this presentation and you're thinking about posting a gig, go ahead and do it. You risk more by not taking a risk anyways. You don't have anything to lose. So check out my Fiverr gigs. I believe I have 3 at this time. My standard podcast, my SEO, LinkedIn list builder. And of course, we build websites as well. I think I told you guys a little bit about that. But you guys could, of course, you could check out my book. It's available on Amazon, Sweats to Suits. Feel free to follow me on all social platforms and check out my websites as well. And yeah, let's get connected. As far as this free resources, I love to give back. And I really like to give back to the Fiverr community because the Fiverr community has given to me. So as far as free resources and you're looking to maybe start a podcast, I want to add a little bit more free resources here. So I'll throw in some that's not written here. But if you want to start a podcast, you want to start with Anchor. It's the easiest way to start a podcast. Really easy. It really doesn't cost you anything. You could monetize. You could, create consistent podcast episodes and really distribute on all major platforms like Spotify, iTunes, and literally go from there. You could also join the Hustle Hive Academy, which is my Facebook coaching group, and you guys can learn a lot more tips and tricks. I do a lot of things as far as this app recommendations for entrepreneurs and small business owners. That's probably, I believe that was my first presentation that I did with Fiverr. But not to sound redundant, and we're just going to swing back again and again and again, but you're literally one idea away from changing your life. Let that idea come today. Let that be today. Let today be the day you claim to be victorious, right? Go out there, post these gigs. Just another tip, and then I'll end off here, and then we could open up for Q&A. A quick tip for anyone on Fiverr: the more gigs you have posted, the more visible your gigs will be. Okay. Again, the more gigs you have on Fiverr, the more viewable your gigs will be. This is something that I learned from someone from that used to work with Fiverr, maybe I believe last summer. She told me this in conversation. Hey, like if you want to get more views, you want people to see more of your gigs, you don't want to just have one gig on Fiverr. You want to have maybe like 2 or 3, or maybe 4 or 5. But one of the things I noticed right off the bat, that is extremely true, because the analytics don't lie. So if I were to take off, say, the bottom 2 gigs off of Fiverr, I'm going to notice my views and analytics is going to drop dramatically when it comes to people clicking my podcast gig. Now, when it comes to, websites are extremely competitive on Fiverr, So when it comes to websites on Fiverr, people are always looking for, people, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, people who have established, some real life-changing reviews, have consistent business, and you're constantly getting viewed from, sellers that's scrolling through the app, buyers that's scrolling through the app or on their desktop. So the more gigs you have, the better for you in the long run. So you want to have at least maybe 2 to 4 gigs posted on Fiverr to increase your chances of getting business on Fiverr. So if you have 1 gig up there, I'll be honest with you, it's not enough. You'll notice you're going to get more inquiries. You're going to also check on your desktop as well. The more you have, the better in terms of views it will be for you in the long run. But I'm pretty much going to end off there. And Tess, let's take it away for some Q&A, and I'll go ahead and stop the screen share.
Thanks so much, Yahavy. Really appreciated your presentation and all that you had to share. Couple of takeaways for me, especially on that last point, is that diversification truly is key. Diversifying in pretty much every avenue of life, whether it be what you're offering on Fiverr or your revenue streams, or even in your stock market and how you're investing. Diversification is truly one of the best methods to ensure that you have success and you get the most bang for your buck. Something that I also wanted to sort of share as a takeaway that I was able to gather from today's conversation is that you're someone who sits in a really unique perspective on Fiverr. You sell multiple different things on Fiverr, so you have sort of the seller experience, but you're also a buyer. So you sort of see these 2 sides of the coin. And what I've learned here is that there truly are 2 different personas for each one. When you are the buyer, you're looking to get things as cheaply and as quickly as you need. But when you're on the other side, you really want to make sure you're getting the most money and you're able to charge the most. So you have to really think about who your audience is. And I'm sort of sharing this with everybody here, which is there are going to be people who are messaging you and requesting certain services from you that have never sold anything on Fiverr before. And to keep that in mind, because their experience with the platform is really going to differ than somebody who is in Yahavy's spot, who is able to sort of know what both experiences are like and able to speak to that, and also able to then provide a service like Loom and say, okay, this is what I sort of need from you. And this is me putting myself in your shoes, essentially, to get the best success for me as a buyer. So just something to keep in mind there. I noticed somebody had also mentioned just a really awesome tip that they didn't even know existed, which was buyer requests. This is a fabulous tool and definitely something that will save you time, so that you don't have to spend hours upon hours vetting through pages of people who you're not too sure whether or not they're actually able to fulfill your request. Sometimes it's hard to know what you need and who to select. I see we have Takay is writing in a question here. Does Fiverr offer any presentations on how to create job or service from the platform. Yes, we do. So those services you can find on our resources or on the forum. And specifically for what we do here when it comes to these webinars. So Yahavy has done, this is number 3, essentially, in the past couple of weeks. So Yahavy has done a bunch of these, but also we have other community members who are doing webinars as well. And those topics differ. Everybody's a different expert. Everybody wants to speak to something that they feel comfortable with. So if you're interested in webinars that sort of fulfill that niche for you, you can find those on events.fiverr.com. We literally have an event pretty much every single day, if not multiple times a day. It's very busy over here in the best way possible. So you'll definitely be able to find resources. And likewise, for somebody like Yahavy, Yahavy has much more experience than just the webinars that he's been able to share with us and sort of that knowledge. So I'm sure this is something that if you wanted to sort of just speak to Yahavy about a little bit more and maybe even work towards, I know Yahavy found his mentor on Fiverr. This is something that'd be really interesting and definitely a cool avenue to go down.
The one thing I forgot to mention was, I'm sorry, the one thing I forgot to mention was the messaging. You're gonna have some people that like message you, but then there's some people that are like they kind of like give you the creeps a little bit. Like they find you on these other platforms and they find your email, they find your Facebook. Hey, I want that. It's like, bro, no, like, how'd you find me? For me, that's, I just want to throw that in. Like, if you're new to the Fiverr platform and you experience things like that, you want to make sure that you're communicating with people on the Fiverr app, through the Fiverr app, because again, Fiverr has your back. So if push goes to shove, if you're communicating with someone that you met on Fiverr on like a LinkedIn or a Facebook, like how can Fiverr really have your back, right? So you want to make sure that you're establishing the communication only through Fiverr. So I would recommend not even addressing any communication outside of the Fiverr app when it comes to a specific task that you want done. So that's happened to me before. So I just wanted to throw that in there too.
Absolutely. I see Alex has a question, which I think is really important because you mentioned sort of this, as a buyer, you're a little hesitant, you're a little nervous to get services from somebody who hasn't had a review or hasn't sold yet. So what advice would you give for someone who's actually in that position and they're new, they're getting started onto Fiverr and they do want to get purchases and they want those gigs to start kind of ramping up? Is there any advice that you could give them from sort of either end, either as a buyer or a seller who's been there? What would you suggest is a good way to sort of put yourself out there and to start generating some good attention onto your gigs?
Easy samples. Like you want to do like quality samples. I've said this before. You don't want to, what's the word? You don't want to give away the gallon if you can monetize and sell the cups, right? So give them a cup, give them a sample cup of, what that would be like. So if you're someone that sells, say data entry, right? Because I do a lot of data entry. Maybe give them 5 samples of, what they're asking for. So if they need 100 contacts or 50 contacts, maybe just give them 5 in a CSV file format. And it's neat, it's organized, it's professional. Like, hey, like there's a sample of my work. So, what I do, and explain like, hey, I'm new on this platform. Here's a sample. Let me know if this works for you. If you like my work, go with me. If not, I wish you the best of luck.
Absolutely. That's a fabulous idea. Definitely something that I'm sure so many people would be willing to do. One thing that's a little bit of a tricky one, and I see that Ramsha asked this, and it's definitely an interesting question and puts us in an interesting perspective here. Considering that you've been on both sides of this sort of seller and buyer journey, what advice would you give to a seller who's been through a situation where they spent some time on a task, they thought they were delivering, they thought that they had it all taken care of, and then the buyer goes, nope, not what I wanted. The money gets refunded, and then they're out 4, 5, 6 hours of work that they did that they thought was good quality work. How can you actually almost like forge that or not necessarily forge that relationship again, but sort of, make sure that buyer still has a positive experience and still is something that can be rewarding. I think about that, and it's not necessarily lost time. If you handle it right on the other side of it, even if you delivered something that wasn't exactly what the buyer wanted, there still is a way that you can get rewarded for that. And I think it's truly just making sure that other side and the customer service experience is smooth. Yahavy, what's your take on that?
Oof, well, that's a tough one.
I
Well,
know.
that's a tough one. I tell you what, like, I've been there plenty of times, and I can honestly sit there and say, like, there's no way I'm taking a chance on someone who's already like burnt me once. Like, I'm sorry. There's no way, because Fiverr is so competitive. And this is what I was talking about. I literally talked about this literally last summer. Like, even the stock app, like, since COVID, Fiverr was at what, $50. It flew up since the pandemic because freelancing flew up for everyone. It's a big supply and demand right now. It's really competitive. So for a client to say, okay, I spent $400, $500 with you, I had to get a refund, I want to give you another chance. I mean, it's really, I don't know. It's likely not to happen again. It might. It really depends on the person. At this point, it really depends on the person. But I know me, and I know how many other experts are on the Fiverr platform that provide the same service. Let alone, there are some that provide. I call it spade a spade. There's some people that provide quality work for literally half the price. So, let alone, it's extremely competitive. You could you could find ways to work around it. Again, goes back to communication. Where did you drop the ball? You have to ask the client, where did you drop the ball? What did I miss? What are you dissatisfied with? Like, how can I get better? What area, what area in the website or the project are you not happy with? Like, how are you dissatisfied? Why the refund? What got us to this point? Questions are qualifiers. You got to ask the right questions. You need to identify why the client is extremely upset or why they got to the point of requesting that refund. And maybe you could, potentially talk them out of it, and maybe, have them refund and say, you know what, we'll make some changes. We'll take, maybe 10 or 15% less than initial fee originally. Maybe you guys could work out a custom order. That's happened before. Not to say like it can't happen, but it could definitely happen. These are ways that you could work around it. But at the end of the day, like, saying's always true. Client's always right. And if they're going to spend that money with you, they took that chance on you because they believe that you could do it. And if you can't do it, it goes back to what I said before. You never take on anything that you feel that you're not qualified to do, or that you can't do.
Exactly. It's interesting. I sort of am in this like two minds about it. I think truly there are two different types of buyers. I think Yahavy, you're one type, which is like, not going to be burned again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And that saying is a saying for a reason. But I think that there are, another type of buyer who says, you know what, even though this isn't exactly what I want, you still handled it in a really professional way. You still made sure your communication was on point as a seller. You still acknowledge that, like, the client's always right. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate that customer service, and that you really are trying to foster this relationship and ensure that even if this wasn't the right delivery, that maybe in the future it could be, and that you could work together. So I would say, don't think of it as a door is always shut. I think there will always be different types of buyers, and you may be getting one example here. And of course, that example is totally valid because it makes total sense. But there may be somebody else who's a little bit more willing to keep that door a little bit open. So don't be too dissuaded as a seller if this kind of situation happens to you. Yahavy also said it totally is normal. It's happened to him. This is very standard, but this is also why you want to make sure that your communication is on Fiverr, because that's the only way that we can actually track it and make sure that we're either here to help support the buyer or the seller in the situation.
Let me add one more thing. That's a great point. But like, another thing I definitely want to add is the goal on Fiverr, in my opinion, and I think should be everyone's strategy, is you want that repetitive business, because you could have a really hot month on Fiverr, the next month you can just crash. So you want to make sure that you're establishing that rapport, and you're letting, say John orders something, like, hey John, like, if you ever need anything again, like, just, you could tell them, hey, save me on Fiverr. Tell them to save your gig on Fiverr. So whenever they need this, they can either share your gig with their friends and colleagues, which is crucial too. A lot of people don't do that. Utilize that. But, feel free to, tell them to share your gig. Reach out, make that business consistent. Consistent business is consistent income.
That's exactly right. And I think on that note, I am seeing that a lot of, the conversation and topics have already been tackled. So I want to make sure that we're ending here on a high note and a note that feels positive. So I'm going to wrap things up there. I know we've got a little bit of extra time, so hopefully we'll give everybody about 5 minutes back in their day. Yahavy, I wanted to personally thank you for your time, your energy. First and foremost, we all can acknowledge Yahavy's energy is second to none. It truly is the best in the biz. So we appreciate that. And just the motivational tone of all of the topics that you've been able to speak to today and in the past, and hopefully soon in the future as well. I also wanted to thank our audience for participating today, sticking with us, asking really thoughtful questions. And if you guys have any other questions that come about, make sure you can email them to community@fiverr.com. It's an email address that's moderated by myself and my colleagues. We can always forward those on to Yahavy. And additionally, this is a recorded session. So if there's anything that you missed, anything you want to go back to in Yahavy's presentation, we'll be sending that out afterwards with a couple of other resources. So stay tuned for that. So I wish you all the best weekend ahead. And if you need us, we're here, but otherwise enjoy your day. Thanks so much, guys. Bye, everyone.